aho wenda uri kwibaza ute se ibi binyagwa ni ibiki igitekerezo cy'umusizi ku cyaba inzozi se dukikijwe n'urupfu ngiyi inyishyu ya nyangeso nziza
hano hari abakozi ba leta ahantu bose babuze impamvu yabyo biriya polisi yakoze muri kaminuza n'ibiki ibyo byose ntabwo bihuriye n'amatora kuko uzatorwa arazwi
ahantu hatinye gute hameze nko mu wundi mugabane nta n'inyoni ikamba ubuyobozi ahangaha bwarushijwe imbaraga n'ubutegetsi barashaka kuyobora n'imitima y'abantu batugire nka za kadahumeka one justice agony one little black girl agony bizana ukuze
umucukuzi ni byose umucukuzi ni byose ahora mu kazi kose ahora mu kazi kose umucukuzi ni byose umucukuzi ni byose ahora mu kazi kose ahora mu kazi kose I'm not alone tell them I need somebody
My name is Jacqueline Rivera, and I'm honored to be presenting this discussion with Anisia Uzeyman for the 2025 Voxfem Festival. Anisia is a film director, director of photography, stage director, playwright, and actor. Her experimental debut film, Dream States, premiered in 2016 and was shot entirely on iPhone. She co-directed the now legendary sci-fi punk musical Neptune Frost with her partner in art and in life, Saul Williams, which premiered at film festivals in 2021. In addition to having its world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival, Neptune Frost screened at many other major festivals, including the Toronto International Film Festival, Sundance, and the New York Film Festival, where Anisia and co-director Williams spoke about the film at Lincoln Center. That was quite a whirlwind of a year at Anisia. The theatrical release took place in 2022, in June of 2022. That's when I saw it at the Austin Film Society Cinema. By December of that year, the New York Times film critic A.O. Scott listed his pick for the top 10 films of 2022, and he placed Neptune Frost at number 2. To me, this was one of those rare and wonderful moments when artists who take all kinds of creative risks got the flowers they deserved in a timely manner. Thank you for sharing your time with us today, Anisia.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. And in Neptune Frost, the character Neptune goes on a journey where they experience powerful changes while making their way towards a radically political and creative community of refugees hidden in the hills of Burundi. One of the first lines in the script is, "A story always has a beginning." Before we talk about your work, can you please tell us a little bit about your beginnings, where you were born, and when you were first drawn to playwriting, acting, and filmmaking?
My beginnings. So I was born in Rwanda. In the south of Rwanda, which is where Neptune Frost was actually filmed. I was drawn to tell stories from a very young age. I think out of necessity. I think that's how every storyteller is birthing. It's out of necessity to express things that are maybe missing in the landscape where you found yourself. So I think it was very, very organic and natural. I experienced rupture, cultural rupture as a child. And I think I kind of needed space to explain, to comprehend, to connect things that I was going through. And so I wanted to be an actress since a very, very, I mean, as far as I can remember. And from that, I studied performance in France. And I played in films, in theater. And then from there, eventually, I started to write my own stories because they were missing. So those are the beginnings. I started writing plays, and little by little, I got very interested in image for many reasons. Um, One of them is that it was obvious to me that there was not a lot of space for people who look like me. There was not a lot of stories that I found compelling or complex or complete that were offered to me. And so I started slowly to, explore the language of image and representation, and noticed that I felt that I had a particular angle and that I could bring something to the world through my gaze. And so that's how I started filming. And I started filming. It was very funny because, so as you said, my first film is entirely shot on iPhone. And that was kind of an accident, right? Because so I was offered to go on tour with Saul Williams, my partner, and I had a story in mind, and I, pitched it to a few productions, etc. And I wanted to go with, a crew, camera, sound, etc. I was like, this is a one-time opportunity in life to tour the United States, to be on the road for 2 months and to tell a story that I thought was compelling, but none of the production wanted to help me. And so I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't do it. And so when I was doing this, I was like, shit, I have something in my pocket and it's a camera. Wait, maybe I can do it with this. And so it was really like a kind of, response to rejections, which is very interesting at times, where you kind of develop a kind of, third sense of
like, how can I make this work? How can I make this work? It's going to happen. How am I going to make this work?
I felt that it had to happen. And we are talking about the very beginning of those cameras on our phones, etc. So it's 2012, I think, and I was like, let's see what is in there. And so I started researching, and I started, uh, making tries and stuff like that. And so I went out there with two iPhones and a test cam to record the sound. And every day I was filming, and I was really on a schedule, like on a regular set. Except that Saul was doing his shows, and then he was playing, and then I
Oh,
was filming
wow.
those shows and things like that. And it was really like a very good school, I think, for you know, I was learning as I was doing it, and so that was the beginning of me really taking a camera and filming and understanding and exploring visuals as a tool of storytelling.
And this was kind of a road trip movie, right? And so, in terms of the locations and the settings, I imagine there wasn't time to prepare a lot in advance, or was there? What was that like?
It is a road trip, an Americana. It was a lot, and it was a lot because when you take images, or when you have a sequence in mind, it always required a little bit of preparation. But then also, I discovered that those machines that we all have on us, that we are turning to self portray us, in many cases, or portray our life, etc., could be used to fictionalize, and so that was the most complex and compelling aspect of that experience. It was to see to what extent those everyday machines that are common in our life could be turned into something exceptional, to something that is, yeah, talking with visual art. And so it was part partially like very spontaneous, but it demanded, of course, technical, setup. Every day you have to load your hard drive, download, etc., etc., and then choose, what perspective and what moments to take. And as I said, the part of spontaneity were related to the shows, the music. So it's also a very beautiful archive or testimony of a group of Black musicians traveling through the United States. Um, and the more intimate scenes and things like that were more like written, and there was a kind of canvas that we were trying to hit. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Well, then, Neptune Frost.
Yeah.
To set up the film a little bit for our viewers who may not have seen it yet, Neptune Frost can be described as a lo-fi punk rock Afrofuturist science fiction musical, something I have never put together in one sentence before. Um, Filmed in Rwanda, but set in Burundi. The character Neptune, played by both Elvis Ngabo and Cheryl Isheja,
Hmm.
joins forces and also falls in love with a fugitive Colton miner named Matalusa, played by the amazing Bertrand Ninteretse. All the cast, by the way, all of them phenomenal. When they meet, Matalusa is the leader of a hackers village collective made up of creative philosopher rebels trying to find a way to survive and resist a violent colonial regime. It's a community that nurtures radical solidarity and imagination, a free exchange of ideas outside of a capitalist framework, limitless creativity and inventiveness, and some really spectacular music and parties. I was like, how can I find this place? I mean, incredible. The cinematography, Anisia, is amazing. You've talked about influences such as Andrei Tarkovsky and Wong Kar-wai. Both these influences were very palpable to me on the very first viewing of the film. Other films that sort of popped into my head as I was watching it for the first time was Alex Rivera's Sleep Dealer. Jean-Pierre Becolot's Les Saignants, or The Bloodettes, also came to mind as sort of like a cinematic kin, right? And then, so I wanted to ask you, from the dream sequences to the different physical dimensions that the characters come in and out of, the graphic overlays, the textures, the colors. It's an incredibly seductive and mesmerizing film that really draws us in. And I was wondering if you could speak to that process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you go from the iPhone, right?
Yeah.
With its
Yeah.
own
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
challenges, right?
Yeah.
Incredible project. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, there you are in Rwanda, where I understand that some of the implements needed to shoot didn't exist there, and you actually built and manufactured them, first of all.
Yeah.
But then also, as a co-director and cinematographer, if you could sort of talk about the amazing visuals of the film.
Yeah. So there is another director that really inspired me a lot, which is Djibril Diop Mambéty, the Senegalese renowned cult filmmaker of Tukibuki, but the film that really, inspired me is Hyena. For its beautiful organicity in the color palette. There is a monochromatic work in that film that is just very beautiful and inspired a lot of our approach in Neptune Frost. So the magical thing with Neptune Frost is to be offered spaces like dreams, like portals, like who are like all imaginary spaces to realize in cinema. I think those points were really the heart of from which everything kind of organically flowed. I've said this already, but the beginning of the visual work was prompted by the fact that I was hearing the film was written first musically. Saul Williams first built the landscape, the sonic landscape of the film, and then the songs, and from the songs the characters, and from the characters the story. So the universe of the film was the first layer of work, and so I was hearing the sonic building of that world, and from there it really like informed a lot about the I think the differences between a realistic world and that specific world of science fiction, of of a projected or of slightly um, I don't want to say fantasized, but pushed imagination. And it started by thinking of, well, how is the moon? What's the color of the moon in Digitaria, which is the village built of computer piece, and where that collective find itself. What is the moon? It cannot be the same moon as, a realistic moon. And so I started with the idea of the texture and the color of that particular moon, to then explore what is the moon outside of Digitaria. And
Because yes, the lighting and the colors and the textures are also different depending on what dimension the story
exactly,
is taking place in.
exactly. So and so from that specific atmosphere, and we could know where we were and with whom. So then it was informing also on space and emotions, right? So the moon outside of Digitaria is more is more mineral. It's more based on the part of the story that is touching on rare minerals exploitation, and so it is informed by the color of earth, of the dirt, of the material, the stones, the silvers, the all of that. And then in Digitaria, I think it is informed more by community love and all of those things. So you have that warmer moon that is there, and so that moon, which is really, when the film happened to be filmed a lot at night, which is a very interesting part of the story too. Night, who allowed us to also be more in control of the lighting, and also to explore that space of community coming together, as well as isolation, as well as dreams. And so the richness of the palette was really like based on how to better and enhance the emotional travel and emotional exploration of those characters. So yeah, there is a lot of things to be said. We that moon was a 18 kilo that we built ourselves.
Wow, that I did not know. That's amazing.
With plenty of 1 kilo, etc. I mean, the technical part of it is that I was I worked with an amazing team, an amazing camera operator, an amazing gaffer, an amazing. I mean, I worked with people of great talent, and we were kind of like forced into the corner of building ourselves our own equipment, because there is no rental house in Rwanda, and so the budget was really tight, and so we had the choice between like renting outside, and so spending a lot of money on insurance and having half of the thing that we wanted because of the cost of all of this, and Also, when you rent outside, you always have to hire people from the outside. And I just really wanted to work with Rwandan local technicians. And I wanted them to be heads of every department, which is like in most of the cases when you have those type of project on the continent, the local technicians are at best second, but most of the time third or you know or down the line assistant or things like that. And I wanted the crew to be heads of every department. And so that's how we built ourselves our own equipment.
I mean, amazing, right? I've read your keynote speech from the Black Star Film Festival that took place last year in Philadelphia, and your keynote, the title was "Film is Resistance: Third Eye Cinema Praxis," if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes,
And you
yes,
talked
yes.
about disrupting hierarchies in films, and you talked about making the crew that specialized in certain things as heads of department, and I mean that's incredible. And you also talked about the resourcefulness that can come out of not being not having access sometimes to resources. And so it could have been, and we see it all the time, it could have been really easy to maybe film parts of it somewhere else, make other choices. But as the title of your keynote said, resistance is praxis. So not just theory, but actually putting it to work, and it results in this amazing, right, work of art. So it shows that it's possible. It inspires others. But can you talk about how, obviously very important for you being from Rwanda to film in Rwanda. What other reasons was it important for you to film there?
Oh my God.
So many, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's so deep. It's so deep. The reasons. There. Well, the first reason is my deep, deep, deep attachment and love for a place that I think has been confined to a certain representation that I wanted to share with the world through maybe my child eyes, like to kind of I don't know, pay tribute to its beauty, that made me, and to its tragedy that it's making me too. So it was very charged for me to try to get it right, to try to get it as close as my heart is saying it, So those things include how you dream it, how you see it from your very personal and intimate perspective, but also how you protect it and share it. There was for me, at least, also a missing space in the representation of that place, which is first to honor the artists, the Rwandan, Burundian refugees, etc., to honor the people that I find so beautiful and so talented. So that was the first resistance, which was that of course, when you present project like this, and you wanna get finance, etc. The first thing that financial tells you is, but who is the star in it? Who is the name that we know that we can get behind it? You know, and that is a vicious circle. You know what I mean? Because if you don't show the people that are not yet the reference behind which they could put money, and always you know give up on, oh yes, I need that name, I need this person, etc., that is already in their under their radar. So no, it's kind of a closed claustrophobic space. So one of the first thing that we had to fight like hard for is, no, we want those people, we want
Yes.
those actors. It's those actors are the essence of what we want to do, and so that is what it is, right? And with that, after that, it's the language.
Yes.
So you're telling me about why was it so important for me. Look, um I partially grew up in Europe. I've never seen an entire feature film in Kinyarwanda.
Mhm.
And
I
I would have loved that,
Yes.
as a teenager, to be able to connect with and so as I'm thinking of myself selfishly, then I was like, but I do think that the world we love to to be in contact with that beautiful language, with that my mother tongue. And so
Yes.
that was also one of the big fight, one of the big resistance. When you talk about praxis of resistance, it's also that there are certain language until today that are not marketable, that are not that don't even belong to the imagination of the artistic community in the larger spectrum of things. So not only blackness, uh, but languages. And you see tons of uh, film from the continent, and suddenly you think that everybody speaks French or English. you know,
That's right.
yeah. And
I have to tell you, Anisia, obviously my first time seeing a film with beautiful languages like Kinyarwanda,
mhm,
Kirundi, Swahili, and French
in
are
Lingala,
the spoken languages. And I think I was about 3/4 of the way through the film before I even registered that the lyrics were in English, right? Because the dream in the film, the characters sometimes share dreams, and that was extended to the audience to the point where it was so seamless. Being from Puerto Rico, where music is just sort of everywhere. In musical, sometimes I feel like it's an interruption, right? It's like, oh, what are we doing here? Like they're like
mhm,
all of a sudden they burst out into song, but this is so different. It's such a natural part of the way that you all created it. And I just couldn't imagine experiencing this work of art and then having like Brad Pitt sort of show up as a, as somebody who's doing, what is he doing there, right? And so I am very grateful that you all protected your vision, because it is such a it is such a powerful story just as it is, and how um, you created it, and I can only imagine how many different things that you all needed to fight for, and I'm so grateful that you did.
yeah, yeah. We are, you know, um, it's also that to remain close to your guts, um, to your heart, actually, to just to be honest. I think to be honest with what you want to share with the world, etc., is very gratifying, because then you can receive it, and the intention is it reaches you, and I think it's a gesture of love also for the people who see it. Um, to be in that space of of simplicity, of between what you want to see it, and that lack of compromise actually is a is is a place of love, before anything else. To not compromise, I think, is something that is that we did out of love for many things.
In a lot of ways, it's probably easier. I don't want to say easier in terms of as somebody who's an artist who doesn't want to compromise, but in terms of having the doors open. But as Black and Brown people from international communities, there's already so much erasure that you almost have to remind yourself, well, don't do it to yourself, right? Like you're already confronting that in the industry, right? Like, so yeah.
I think beyond don't do it to yourself. There is a part of us that has to be in solidarity, because we are pushing for more than oneself. You see what I mean? And it is not normal to be talking about the industry here and people who are doing weird stuff there. I mean, we are making films, and those films are going into the same spaces as any other film with Brad Pitt. You understand? Mm-hmm. So it's I think and certainly more than ever right now, I feel that we need to do more, and the most we can do is the least we can do. You understand? Like it's like I am hyper conscious that it is about opening space for others. It is about holding the door open.
I feel that the most we can do is the least we can do. I feel that.
And we know how also art is effectively opening spaces of change, of social changes, of dialogue and stuff like that. Yet we also know that art is a tool of propaganda used against us. Mm. So there is, I think, in our spaces, in the Black and Brown communities and all the disenfranchised communities, we are majority and and global, etc. But we are somehow on the margin of everything. So we have to decenter, and it is very it's conscious decisions, and I think it is part of the fight and of the advancement of our humanity. First, to understand that this can be used as a tool of propaganda, which has been done to Black and brown bodies since the invention of this medium, from Birth of a Nation to, you know, to the latest A24 fucking military film on Iraq. You know, it's the dehumanization of our stories, the relegation to the margins of our, you know, of it's and so as much as that part is very strong in that media, I think we need to 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 realize that we have to be at that level of resistance to it, and push. I feel like Neptune first wasn't like it was made with all of this in mind. But it not,
Because it's you know, considered science fiction, it's considered Afrofuturism, which it is, but it's also happening right now, right, with people confronting systems of oppression with their bodies right now, from Standing Rock, you know, to what's happening in Gaza, to what's happening everywhere right now. It's not a dystopian future, right? It's now, and to be able to process all of this, like, we're seeing things that we don't even have words for right now,
yeah.
and make art about it at the same time, to have the capacity to expand yourself to do that, is kind of amazing. And you said that one of your goals is to open the door for other people. Um, I, I um, have you had an opportunity to work with people that have gone on to do other things at this point, or who are working on other things that came out of the work that you've done so far?
um well, I think it's in the air. Yeah.
It's in the air.
Yeah, I
I feel it
definitely,
too.
yeah, I definitely think that, you know, there is that weird magicality about when you while you are dreaming of something that is so particular, that belongs only to your, you know, imagination, and suddenly you realize that there is an ambience in the air. There is something in the air that makes other people think about those things, you know.
Yeah.
And that is when your idea is really connected also to being to face the present, and to try to translate it for others, right? To
Mhm.
connect the dots. So yes, I do feel that many works by small dots, or by, you know, we do have people who were inspired to write around it, people who also are keeping up with that aesthetic, which is also that aesthetic, which is us keeping up also with others, with the inspirational artistic movement and fashion movement on the continent, with, you know, the new wave of visual artists from the global south, with, you know, it's so many things. And I do think that that the subconsciously or consciously, the it's sparking a lot of things. It also, I think, sparks things in ourselves, you know, that experience. And so I think we kind of laid also grounds for what we're gonna do after. So I hope that it not only inspire people, spark, imagination and attitudes and all type of things in regards of that. But I would really, really, really hope that it is also inspiring people to support that type of project, to be there for the people who wants to go into that direction, to believe and understand that there is a public, that there is that it is as important as to produce mainstream, stories, that space should generate interest for for those spaces to be able to expand in abundance.
In abundance. It's sort of like the when the word got out about Digitaria in the film, and people are like, "Hey, there's this place. Let's go here," right?
Yeah.
And memory, I think, it talks about the power of the subconscious honed through guidance, right? So you're sort of like guiding people. It's like, here's this portal, everybody
Yeah.
come along.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing though with the film is it is a little disturbing that you see we projected something, we talk about data, we talk about the technology, you know advancement that are not so advanced, right? The duality between the future that we could build with those tools, and the future that is built for us in those tools, right? Which is like a kind of and it's true that in inviting people in that space in 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 recent time, what we see is it's so disturbing that we the end of the film is kind of so real right now, that it is also so I think it's interesting to have interesting and heartbreaking, I think, because what in Neptune first, what we try to tell is, look, how who are those people that you are bent on destructing, who are those people full of imagination, full of political accuracy, political I don't know, community and all of those things, and love, and look at how this world is beautiful, and the destruction of that world is well, way too relevant right now. And it's a so you say you invite people. Yes, we invite people to look at humanity with love, with to see who are the people behind the people behind, I don't even know how to say it, behind all those massacres, right? It's
Right.
each individual is so precious, and I think that in Digitaria, that's what his approach is for the people to see how precious all of those souls are,
Yes.
how brilliant, how joyful, how full of promise.
I think that the spaces that, you know, you have to seek out that are sort of pockets of resistance that are very much like that, you know, in the real world, um, are findable. You have to look, right? And I think that that's another thing that I really appreciate about the film. It's just like, hey, there's a place where your value is more than your labor. Your value is more than, you know, uh, having everything figured out within the context of the way society is. Like you're still wanting to explore, change, and I really appreciate that about the film as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Um, yeah. There's a war.
There's so much. There's, I mean, do you have, you know, how much time do you have? You can unpack this film and you can rewatch it. It's to me like Solaris, Daughters of the Dust, so many films that it is an experience, you know,
Yeah.
like you just kind of prepare yourself, like dig in and you want to watch it. And every time you watch it, I think Sinners is becoming that for me. You watch it again and again and you catch all of these different layers of attention that the filmmakers put to it. And you can
Mm-hmm.
just sit and enjoy, right? You can just sit and enjoy and be blown away. But for all of us film nerds out there, we can watch it 100 times and always find something new.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I think we heard a lot of people having that kind of experience, and we poured everything we had in there. It's 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 a 8 years, 9 years project. So yes, I'm very and so there is also another qualification which could be cyberpunk also, in the many.
Yes.
But then
Yeah.
there was a, yeah, and then we could invent something new for the film, outside of all those of those genre, right? I think it's a film that expands the idea of genre, and yes, we are very touched by the, people. Yes, go back and see it again and find more uh, other stuff to look at, and more sense. And I think also with time, this film is also maybe stuff that were a little more abstract when we did it, such as, for instance, the coltan and cobalt and all the exploitation of the mines in Congo, etc., etc. Now
Yeah.
is becoming like, it took center stage right now,
Yes.
in the world understanding of that, analog exploitation that is happening for our digital future and present. So when we started to write the project, when Saul started writing, we had to explain to people what that was. You see what I mean? And so that is also something that, the more the dialogue, the international dialogue, the expands, I think the more we can find uh, um, uh, understanding and new lights on things in the film. Yeah.
Yeah, the world is definitely catching up to that part. It's incredible. So you can spend, and you did spend years and years and years working on the film, and then it's easy for us after, you know, an interview to say, so what's next? You know, but is there anything that you're working on that you'd like to share, or
Yes, we are certainly working on a few things, quite a few things. We are pitching right now. So we are pitching a few projects. Um, One of them is related to a kind of sequence to Neptune Frost. So that is one of the So we are trying to get that, and in the continuation of something like Dream States, we are also in the process of filming ourselves as witnesses of this time. So
Amazing.
that is like a longer process and something that is more informal, but you know, with we were on our way to we were writing a lot, etc. And then 2023 was really a setback, a setback for whomever works on fiction. It became so disturbing to be inventing a world that could never reach the I don't know, the level of madness that reality is carrying right now.
Right.
So we had a step back, and during that step back, we were like, okay, but, and then, like Toni Morrison said beautifully, when shit goes down, it's time for artists to work, right?
Yes.
It's an art is dangerous, and thank God for those greeting voices that kind of you know walk with you through those type of moments where you're like, wait, what am I doing?
Right.
What is this film about, what is this story about, etc. So we slowly got back into, like, gasping with what we can do the best, which is art, and find space for those projects to exist. And so, yeah, we have a few projects that we are pitching, and are hoping we'll see.
Yeah. No, I
um,
think looking forward to nothing but good things. And, to your point, after October of 2023, there's so many of us that will never be the same. And
exact, yeah,
so
exact.
I understand. And I think by October 15th of 2023, I told my best friend, I said, I'll never be the same again after this. And it's
Mm-hmm.
now a lot to grapple with beyond
Mm-hmm.
my capacity for sure. But yeah, I can understand how
Yeah,
that could, have to adjust your trajectory because our consciousnesses have been exposed to so much. Um,
yeah, yeah. It is also, I think, very, very low spoken about, but it also records PTSD for you know millions of people right now. So we are also of a PTSD that is not already passed. So we are like also caught into recalling for many, many people on this earth that have been victims of that type of colonial violence. So it puts you also in psychologically in a very difficult place. I like what Saul says. He's like, because the thing is to not be paralyzed and to understand that whatever you do in your lane, whatever is your talent, this is where you can get to to resist. This is where you can, this is your duty actually, to remain present, and to manifest and not manifest destiny, but to really manifest your your fight through it, right? So if it is that you are a musician or an organizer or a gardener, there is a place of action that exists within those lines, and that is the calling that you have to be present in this moment. And so I like that that approach also, because we can be lost in, wait, what should I do? Should I completely change what, you know, where should, you know, suddenly you can also. And so I think it's valorizing and encouraging to understand that what you're doing in your line, what you're doing in where you are is so very important, and that you should be you know, pushing where you can, and that it is a part of a collective you know, liberation.
Yes, yes. Anisia, for the viewers that are listening, we're going to have links to your work, trailers and photos will be added to the website for our viewers to explore further. Anisia, it's been a pleasure and an honor to speak with you today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.